For any motorist, especially any car enthusiast, knowing how to drive a car with a manual transmission is an extremely important and useful skill to have mastered. With this skill learned, a whole new world of opportunities opens for you. So I'm going to do my best today to show you guys how I think it's easiest to learn manual and some of the tips and tricks that I use to get it right almost every single time. So with that, let's get into it and try this out. Alright, so when you hop into a car with a manual transmission, the first thing you'll notice is the gear shift is different. So what you have here, the video is going to be extremely shaky, I'm sorry. What you have here is a directional gear shifter that has different slots where every gear is. So right here in the middle is neutral. It can go either side freely. Besides that, mine doesn't have them labeled, but normally on most gear shifters that are manual, you'll see a gear pattern. So if you go every gear individually, 1, 2, back to neutral, 3, back to neutral, 4, back to neutral, 5 is over and up, and then in my case, reverse is over and back. So also, when you look down here, you're gonna notice there are 3 pedals. The one on the left over here is your clutch. That's the pedal that is not in an automatic car. The other 2 is the brake and the gas, which is the same in every automatic car. So, to start the car, you're not going to step on the brake and turn the key. In this case, with a manual, you're going to take the clutch and push it all the way to the floor. And then you're going to turn your key. So there you've started your car. If you're on a hill or anything, which I'm not, I'm in a parking lot, you're going to be on the brake, obviously, to keep the car from moving. But in this case, we're flat, and the car's in neutral. And when the car's in neutral, you can take off the clutch. So I'm not on any of the pedals right now. So to go into first gear, what you're going to need is to press in the clutch all the way to the floor and go into first gear. Whenever you're touching this, you're going to be on the clutch. You're never ever going to be touching this gear shift without being on the clutch. So real easy, put in the clutch, over and up into first gear. Second gear, you're going to hold on to the clutch, pull it back. Third, up. Fourth, down. Fifth, up. So whenever you're using this, you're going to want to be on the clutch. So let's put it back into first, and let's get the car rolling. So what you're going to want to do is your foot's on the clutch, nothing on the right side. Slowly, slowly let off the clutch, and your car's going to start moving. That's the bite point. So I'm putting the clutch back in, stepping on the brake, and we're stopped. So you're going to feel on the clutch a certain spot when it's, you know, there's nothing going on here, and then when you slowly pull it back, the car's going to start to shake a little bit, and you're going to feel it start to move. If you let off the clutch all the way when you're in first gear and you don't give it any gas, or if you let off the clutch all the way in any gear and you're coming to a stop, the car is going to stall out. So you don't want to let off the clutch right here, because if you do that, I'm going to do it, it's going to be very painful, but I'm going to do it. Let off the clutch, car's going to lurch forward and you're going to stall out. So when you're driving a car with an automatic or with a manual transmission, you never want to stall out, obviously. So back on the clutch, turn the key, car's back on. So when you do want to move, when you don't want to stall out, which should be always, what you're going to do is you're on the clutch, you're in first gear, and you're going to slowly let off the clutch like we did before, and at the same time press on the gas. And you'll feel at a certain point the gas is going to engage, you can release the clutch all the way, and we're moving. So to stop, push in the clutch, step on the brake, and here we go. We're stopped, we're still in first gear. Alright, so what I did there with my feet again, I'm going to show you with my hands, was you're on the clutch all the way. Here's the clutch with your left hand, and here's your right foot on the gas. So what you're doing is letting off the clutch and pushing on with the gas. So it's sort of like a flipper, like a paddle, like when you're swimming. So your feet go opposite. So you're on the clutch and you slowly lift that up, and at the point when you lift that up, you're gonna feel it start to shake like we did before. That's the bite point. You're gonna put on the gas when you do that and let it off all the way. You can't give it too much gas because then you'll over rev, and you can't let out the clutch too fast because then you're gonna stall out. The hardest part, especially when you're starting, when you're going from a stop to first, is the clutch. So the most important part when you're starting is just practice that. Go to a stop, slowly let off the clutch, press the gas till the bite point. When you get going, you're totally off the clutch, you're only on the gas, put in the clutch and brake. Just keep doing that, just keep practicing that, and you will get going. So the second part, when you get to that point, is going from first to second gear. And that's much easier because you're already starting. As you go up the gears, third to fourth, fourth to fifth, it gets easier and easier. You can be less aggressive with the clutch. You can, you have a little bit of leeway when you get to that point. The clutch isn't as sensitive because you're already going, you're not gonna stall out. The hardest part is getting started. The most times you're gonna stall out is going from a stop to first gear. So once you're in first gear, you're gonna do the same type of thing. So we're gonna pretend the car is moving. I'm not, obviously. Pretend the car is moving and you are on the gas. I'm gonna pull up my brake just so I don't move. So you're on the gas in first gear, cruising along, and you need to shift to second. So what you're gonna do is let off the gas, push in the clutch all the way, and you're in first gear. You're gonna pull straight back to second gear. So when you're in second gear, you're going to let off the clutch and push in the gas, same thing. It's gonna be the same type of deal every single time. You're gonna be on the gas, driving along, let off the gas, on the clutch, shift your gear, off the clutch, on the gas. Every single time. Driving along, shift, back on. Shift, back on. You don't wanna ride the clutch because that'll burn it out over time. But that's essentially how to do it. So shifting into reverse is the same deal. Reverse, like I said, is over back here. But what you want to do when you're in reverse is never let go of the clutch all the way, because for some reason reverse goes really, really fast. And if you let off the clutch, you're either going to go super fast or, stall out. So what you want to do is just let off the clutch just a little bit, and then you're going to need the gas or the brake to either control speeding up or slowing down, but don't ever let it off all the way because it's pretty fast. I don't really know why, but it just is. But just control your speed with the clutch and with the brake. You just kind of gotta mess with it, and sometimes the gas. I don't usually use the gas that much. It's pretty quick. But yeah, that's really it for reverse. Nothing big here. Same type of deal. When you're going into it, just let off the clutch onto the gas just to get started. Then keep track of it with the brake and the clutch and the gas. Alright, so at this point you've mastered going from a stop and starting, and you're pretty good at shifting through the gears while you're moving. So obviously you're going to need to stop the car. You should actually know how to do that in the midst of knowing how to do all the rest of that stuff. Obviously you always got to stop. So what I do for stopping is you're cruising along in fifth gear, you're driving along, you're coming up to a red light. What I do is press on the brake, get the car slowing down, and as soon as you get down to about probably 2,000 RPM in my car, I put in the clutch, and then when I get to a stop, I will throw it back in first gear. So you're waiting at the light with your foot on the brake, so you don't want to move. So what I do is you're on the brake and you're on the clutch in first gear, just waiting, and then when it changes, you're off the clutch and back on the gas. What other people do is they are in fifth gear, coming up to a light, pressing the brake, pressing the clutch, pull the car out of gear and into neutral, and then they wait at the light, stopped, on the brake only. So the difference between these two is, one, you're in neutral, only on the brake, and the other, you're in first gear on the clutch and the brake. And I do the second option. So people say that if you're in first gear at a light, you are wearing out the bearings in the clutch. I don't think it's that big of a deal, because most likely they're going to outlive the length of time that you have the car. But I can see how it would be more beneficial to the car if you are in neutral and not in first. But I'm in first. I just think it's easier to get from a start only by moving your foot from the brake to the gas and then letting off the clutch, instead of going from neutral, you're on the brake, put in the clutch, shift to first, take your foot from the brake to the gas, take off the clutch, and put on the gas. I think it's just a little bit too complicated to do in the short amount of time that you have to go from a stop to start. I just think it's easier my way. Do your own thing. They both work. The only right answer is the one that's most comfortable for you and what you guys like the best. Obviously, when you're driving, you're going to want the gears to not go up to red line, just like in an automatic. So what you're going to want to do is shift the car from each gear to the next when you're at about, I would say, between 3,000 and 4,000 RPM. If you're really trying to accelerate, you know, you want to strain your engine, go up almost to red line if you want to get maximum torque, maximum horsepower out of every gear. But I don't suggest that unless you're like actually trying to really like go fast or get onto the highway if you're starting out really slow or whatever. But to get best gas mileage, shift when you're as low as possible and stay in the highest gear possible on whatever road. Obviously, if you're going a certain speed, if you're going 20 miles an hour, you're not going to want to be in 5th gear, 6th gear, because you're going to be going way too slow, and that will be very bad for your engine. You're going to strain it out way too much, and you're probably going to stall out. So you want to be in the most optimized gear for that speed you're going, and that definitely takes lots of learning, lots of practice, and just experience behind the wheel. You're not going to pick this up in one day. You're not going to pick this up in 1 week. You might, but you're not going to be a professional at it for a very long time. I still make mistakes. I still stall out. Everyone makes mistakes. It's not going to come instantaneously for most of the population. So my suggestion here is just keep working it and you'll get it. It takes tons of patience. That's the biggest thing it takes, just tons and tons of patience. So that pretty much concludes it for this video for me. I just figured I would, put mine out there, my attempt to drive a manual out there. I know it's a pretty high demand video on YouTube, and I know there's a billion more besides mine that have millions more views than mine, but I want to try it out. So let me know what you guys think about this video, if I should do anything else like this, do a second part about downshifting and rev matching, or some more, point of view, looking at the pedals or whatever. This is just a first go, first run, so I tried it out. So let me know if you guys like this video. Make sure you like, share, comment, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. It means a lot. And I will see you guys in the next video. See you later.